I did nothing to her. The sound of Erika's voice reverberated in the entire pack house as she followed Alex up the stairs, tears staining her delicate face. She knew that Alex at least didn't like her, but they had been married for 3 years. 3 whole years. He still didn't trust her. How could he say she was capable of murder when she hadn't even done anything to anyone? For the past 3 years she had been living in the pack house as his Luna. She had done everything she knew a good Luna and good daughter-in-law should do, making sure that everything and everyone was happy. But he still felt she hadn't done enough and couldn't even trust her. If she really had ulterior motives, she would have directly killed everyone in the Bloodmoon Pack with just a few wolfbanes here and there in their food as she was the cook in the house. But instead, Alex chose to believe that bitch that just arrived 2 days ago. You were the only one standing close to the staircase. Alex's voice boomed in anger. How could a woman be so shameless? She was the only one standing at the staircase at the time of the fall. How could she still deny the fact that she was responsible for Serenity's fall? Erika gave Alex a bewildered look. Alex, I did nothing. Serenity threw herself down the stairs to frame me. She defended anxiously. That Serenity girl was vicious, extremely vicious, even to her own self. She and Serenity had been standing by the staircase earlier, discussing the issue of Serenity being Alex's first love, and Erika being the obstacle. Then suddenly, Serenity sighted Alex approaching and immediately grabbed Erika, saying Erika should forgive her. At first, Erika was very surprised. But when she saw Alex approaching, she immediately understood the bitch's motive. But she was already too late, because at that time, Serenity had already thrown herself down the stairs. Can you even hear yourself? Alex barked and turned to look at her. He took 2 steps closer to her and pinned her on the railings. The position he had her was so dangerous that if she missed a step, she would directly fall to her death. Erika gulped as she stared into Alex's black eyes, one that looked like a bottomless dark well. The very ones she fell in love with the very first day she met him 3 years ago. Those eyes that always held a deep resentment towards her. It was looking very murderous right now. The same pair of black eyes looked like it was going to stab her 1,000,000 times if she didn't keep her mouth shut. Erika, Alex breathed, using her name for the first time in 3 years, aside the day of their mating ceremony. I never knew you could be such a bloody, disgusting liar. I saw you that day. Your both hands. He grabbed her hands. This hands. They were the very ones I saw that were extended towards Serenity, as if to push her. Now you tell me that you did nothing and she threw herself down the stairs on her own? Alex felt the urge to laugh out loud at this woman's shamelessness. She was not only a gold digger and a shameless woman, but also a bloody liar. Erika's tears fell uncontrollably from her eyes as she felt Alex's hand tightened his grip on her wrist. It hurt so much, but she couldn't even voice out the pains. Right from the first day she stepped into this pack house, she had never experienced happiness or what it felt like to be married. She had expected a one-sided love marriage to be a simple task to handle. She felt it was easy to mend. She had spoken to her father the day after the mating, and he said that a man who didn't love her would never love her. But she waved it off and told him she could handle it all, not knowing she was deceiving herself. Her father, Alpha Jerome, had given her 3 years. 3 years to mend her marriage and make her husband fall for her, or she had to return to their pack and take over as the next leader of the pack. No one in the Bloodmoon Pack knew about her identity as Alpha Jerome's only daughter. She had hidden her identity from everyone, so she could live like a normal werewolf without having so many bootlickers. But now, the 3 years given to her by Alpha Jerome have elapsed. If you want me to forgive you and give you a second chance, then you have to go and apologize to Serene. Tell her to forgive you, or else I wouldn't, Alex said and released his hold on her. He turned around and began walking to their bedroom door. He paused again suddenly, and without turning, he said to her, "Be prepared for a divorce if she doesn't forgive you." Erika gritted her teeth in anger as she watched him disappear into the room. She, the daughter of Alpha Jerome of the Ironclaw Pack, apologized to that low-life husband thief? Never. She clenched her fist as she glared at the door Alex had disappeared into. "I would rather leave than apologize to that lowlife," she declared firmly. And her wolf? Cindy purred in response to her words. Erika wiped her tears. She wasn't going to cry for an already failed marriage. If only she had listened to her father the first time he said she could always reject Alex. This wouldn't have happened. She wouldn't have been in such a traumatizing situation. No one liked her in the pack house except the pack elders. Alex's mom and sister were never good to her from the very beginning. They made her stay in the pack house, a living hell, making sure she did the work of the maids instead. She cooked, cleaned, and washed, something Aluna should never be seen doing. She did all that without any complaints. But after everything, they all sided Serenity and left her to face the blame of what she never even did. Erika was fed up this time. She was so done with living in a loveless marriage. Her husband saw her as a gold digger, while the others saw her as a poor and ignorant gold-digging orphan. She let them all call her whatever they liked this past 3 years, but today marked an end to all of that. She was done with all of these mockeries. It was time to listen to her father. She would leave the Bloodmoon and go back to the Ironclaw to fulfill her destiny. The door to their bedroom was pushed open, and Erika walked in. She saw Alex sitting by the window with some papers, which she assumed were the pack projects. It didn't matter to her, though. Alex looked up from the papers in his hand and tilted his head with a grin on his face. "She forgave you?" he asked. But Erika clenched her fist and responded, "Alex, I want a divorce." Alex's hand froze midair as he tried to take a sip of whatever he was drinking. Did he hear her right? The smile on his face had disappeared without a trace. He smirked and finally took a sip of the coffee. "You want a divorce?" he asked, as if she hadn't said it the first time. She nodded and met his gaze. "Yes," she answered, her voice firm and resolute. He chuckled lightly and stood up to his full height. "So you rather chose a divorce than apologize to Serene?" The pet names he always called Serenity was the most painful for her. She could clearly count in her head how many times he had even addressed her Erika by her name. That is, 2 times only. "When did you change this much?" Alex asked as he made his way to where she stood. "You used to be very obedient, but now you can't even give a common apology. You suddenly have an ego." Erika looked into his mocking eyes and retorted, "Alex, I'm innocent." "I did nothing wrong to Seer." Alex used a finger to silence her. "Keep your mouth shut. Do you have evidence to prove your innocence?" He removed his finger from her lips to let her answer. Her answer was an unexpected one. "My words are enough." Alex rolled his eyes at the dumb woman. How could she be so stupid? "Erika, if you think that you could just do whatever you want and go scot-free, then you have to wake up," he said, and Erika looked at him in confusion. She didn't expect the next thing that followed. Alex dragged her by the arm roughly, out of their room and straight downstairs. There were maids in the living room, doing some cleaning. Some elders and guards were also present in the living room when Alex dragged Erika past them and straight outside of the pack. Just as they appeared outside, they both ran into Gage, Alexander's beta, as he was bringing in the one and only bitch who was responsible for this whole thing. Serenity looked very pitiful, with bandages on her head as she limped her way into the pack house. Seeing the way Alex dragged his mate, Gage walked forward to stop him immediately. "What's going on, man? Where are you taking your mate?" he asked, as he saw the bruise Alex had given Erika on her pale skin. It was very evident as Erika was extremely fair. Alex, on seeing Serenity, left Erika and rushed over to her immediately. He pulled her softly into his arms in front of everyone, and this gesture made Erika's wolf, Cindy, growl in anger. How could he care for someone else more than his mate? Cindy barked in anger. Are you all right? Alex asked the pitiful-looking Serenity. Come and take a sit over here. He pulled her towards the sofa in the living room and made her sit on it. The entire pack members who were present watched as their alpha treated another woman better than his mate. They couldn't blame the alpha for showing his affection toward Serenity. The Luna's actions had greatly displeased the entire pack members, and they all looked at her in disdain. Why is the alpha treating that woman like his mate? Someone whisper asked, to the hearing of Erika, who was close to them. The Luna pushed that woman down the stairs. I guess it was because she was jealous. Yes, the alpha treats that woman better than his mate. But I've known Luna Erika to be a nice lady. Who would have thought she was this heartless and evil? Erika heard all their words clearly as tears fell from her eyes. How could the pack members be this despicable? They clearly said she wasn't someone to do such, but they believed she did it. It hurt her that no one believed her in the pack, especially her own mate. Alex was supposed to be the first person to ask what exactly happened and not make the decision like a coward. He is a coward, Cindy agreed. Alex looked at Serenity's pale face and touched the bandage on her head a bit. The bitch who should have gotten a good award for her acting winced in response and squeezed out a tear. It hurts, Alex, she whined, and Alex rubbed her back soothingly. He then turned and glared at Erika, who stood there with her hands holding her clothes tightly. Alex moved. He appeared before her, towering over her as he demanded, Erika, go over there and apologize to Serenity. Erika gritted her teeth. I said I would never apologize for something I didn't do. Stop acting stubborn and go there now. Alex raised his voice this time, almost raising his hand as well. Erika was such an annoying woman. Erika raised her eyes to meet his. She dared not cower before him like a puppy. Alex, I did nothing wrong, and I will never apologize. Alex laughed and shook his head. And why is that? Why won't you apologize? Because I didn't do anything to her. Erika, that's enough. Alex gripped her chin, and she winced at the pain his grip brought. Gage tried to intervene, but one warning look from Alex made him froze in his steps. Erika, you will go over there and apologize to Serenity, or else. Don't blame me for my next actions. Cindy whimpered as their mate mistreated she and Erika. Erika had already declared that she would never apologize for what she didn't do. So she stood her ground. I said, I won't apologize. Besides, you gave me an option to choose from, and I chose divorce over apologizing. Alex shook his head and brought her face closer to his. I'm sorry to tell you, but the conditions have changed now. You are going to apologize and divorce at the same time. Erika's POV. Never in a million years did I ever think that I would hear such words from Alex. My eyes were fixed solely on his face, neglecting the intense pain coming from my chin. His death grip was extremely painful, but the pain didn't match up to the one I felt in my heart. I had loved Alex for 3 years. I did everything for him, sacrificed everything just to be by his side and be a good Luna for his pack. But it seems like not everyone deserved sacrifices. How could he trust a woman who he hadn't seen for the past 7 years over me, who had been with him for 3 years? Serenity just came back 2 days ago and he already trusted her? Was it because of her looks? Sure, Serenity was beautiful and dainty, but I wasn't bad-looking either. You're much prettier than that bitch, Cindy added, and I almost nodded in approval. But Alex kept choosing her over his own mate. Alex. I tried to call out to him in the most sweetest voice I believed I had. But he pushed my face away and groaned in anger. He turned again to look at me and said, Erika, be good and apologize to Saren. But I still wouldn't budge and just shook my head. Why should I apologize to that dog? I won't apologize, I said again, my head lowered. Murmurs filled the surrounding as everyone began talking about me. I couldn't care less about them. They didn't want to believe me, so why should I be bothered about how they saw me? Alex, believe me this once, I didn't push her. I was still saying when suddenly, as fast as the wind, Alex turned and grabbed my neck harshly. My eyes widened as I felt him choke me. Erika, you will kneel and apologize to Serene right here, right now, he said in his alpha voice, and I froze. Did Alex hate me that much? Just what does that serenity mean to him? I felt my breath leaving me slowly, and I began to struggle for air, holding tightly to his arms as my tears poured down heavily. All Alex. I clutched to his arm tightly, hoping he would let me go and let me take a breather. Gage seemed to have noticed that I was really choking. He rushed over and held Alex, trying to get his hands off my neck. Alex, stop. You're choking her, he yelled and pulled Alex back immediately. From the corner of my eyes, I saw Serenity smirk with a wink. That bitch! Cindy growled in anger as I fell to the floor, clutching to my neck. Alex looked down at me and ran a hand through his hair. Erika, apologize quickly. Gage was the one who spoke, but I ignored him, still lying breathless on the floor. You think your stubbornness would get you anywhere? Alex snarled. I still ignored him, trying to catch my breath. Alex wasn't pleased with my actions, and he walked up to me again. He pulled me up harshly, and I winced, but he didn't seem to care. He pulled me to stand before Serenity, who had tears in her eyes. That sly witch. Kneel, Alex commanded, and I snapped my head to him. First, it was apologize. Now kneel. Over my dead body would I ever kneel before this dog? I will apologize, but I would never kneel before her, I said through gritted teeth, and Alex chuckled. You will do both, and you have no choice, he said. And the next second he directly kicked the back of my kneel, making me kneel before Serenity. I broke out in tears at this treatment. How could my mate do this? Now apologize, he yelled. I gritted my teeth as pain coursed through my entire body. Serenity, I'm sorry, I said in more like a whisper. Louder. Alex nudged me and I almost fell. Serenity, I'm sorry for pushing you down the stairs, I yelled out as more tears fell from my eyes. This treatments and humiliations I faced today would forever be etched in my heart. I would never forgive any of them, and I'll make sure to get my revenge on them. That's more like it, Alex said softly and turned to Serenity. She looked at me pitifully and stood up. Please get up, Erika. You're the Luna of this pack. I'm not worthy for you to kneel before me. She immediately helped me up. That cunning dog, Cindy yelled in anger when you were asked to kneel. Why didn't she say this? I was pissed too. When I was asked to kneel, why didn't she say all these? It's all my fault for pissing you off that day. I never meant to say those hurtful words. I deserve that push, Serenity said and looked down pitifully. The bitch was still putting the blame on me. I didn't even push her. Alex came forward and took Serenity into his arms. It's not your fault, Seren, he said and glared at me. Now that I apologized, can I get the divorce? I asked, my gaze fixed on the floor. Alex chuckled and said, yes, of course. I felt my heart being stabbed by multiple knives. I had asked that question to see if he would at least let me stay after apologizing. But it seems he truly made up his mind to let me go this time. Okay, then I said, and looked up at him, staring directly into his black eyes. Those eyes. One that captured my heart on the first day we met. One that I'd always get lost in each time I look into it. Right now, those eyes were glaring daggers at me, and I couldn't care less anymore. I, Erika Blackwood, stand before you, Alexander Robertson, with a heavy heart. I hereby reject you as my mate. The bond we once shared has grown fragile, and my soul yearns for a different path. May you find solace in the love of another, and may we both find the happiness we seek. Erika Blackwood. You do know that rejecting Alex doesn't mean you've stopped being his Luna, Cindy suddenly said. And I paused from what I was doing. I was currently in our bedroom, packing my stuffs and ready to vacate this hell of a pack house. What do you mean? I asked, confused. I mean to say that you can't just reject Alex and think that you're free, Cindy said again. I heard you the first time, but why? What else has to be done? I asked. You both have to dissolve the mate bond, Cindy answered. What? I asked in surprise. What do you mean dissolve the mate bond? You both are alphas, though he doesn't know. But mere rejection by words mean nothing. You have to dissolve the mate bond to be completely free from each other. I'm pretty sure Alex knows this as well. I was taken aback by her explanation. I leaned by bedside table and my brows furrowed even more. How come I never knew about all this? I asked. Because you never listened to your father's teaching about mating, Cindy snarled in response. Don't push the blame on me, Cindy. My father was never an easygoing man, I said, and continued my packing. I get it, but still, you have to dissolve the mate bond. How do I do it? I asked, halfway through my packing. I'm not sure. Maybe ask someone else. I really don't know how it works, Cindy replied honestly. I stopped moving again. Who am I supposed to ask if not you? Go ahead and ask Alex, Cindy growled. Shut up, I warned and continued. As I finished packing my bags, I felt a surge of excitement. I was ready to leave this hell of a pack house, and without anyone noticing, I quietly slipped out of the pack house. Inside, everyone seemed preoccupied. Likely busy making sure Serenity's room was just the way Alex wanted it. It really amused me how they treated her with such care and attention, as if she were the Luna herself. Meanwhile, the true Luna was being mistreated and treated like an Omega. Just ignore them and let's go, Cindy whispered. I nodded in agreement, understanding that it was time to leave all the negativity behind. With a smile, I stepped out of the pack house and onto the streets. Twilight had already begun. The sky was painted with hues of orange and purple, and a serene calmness settled over the surroundings. I walked through the dimly lit, lonely street. Cindy's voice broke the silence suddenly. Erika, where are we headed now? She asked. For a moment, I remained silent, lost in my own thoughts, continuing to put one foot in front of the other. The decision I had made weighed heavily on my mind. I had finally reached a breaking point in the brutal life I had been living, and I knew it was time for a change. This was when I needed to reach out to my family. I was ashamed, though, because my father had told me this would happen, and I doubted him and trusted my own abilities. I stopped walking and replied to Cindy. It's been 3 long years. Now I'll to reach out to Jace. I know this is a big step for you, but remember, you were never alone from the beginning. I'm here too. We're in this together, she said. With renewed determination, I opened my mind link once again, a connection I hadn't used in years. It felt strange yet familiar as I reached out to Jace, my stepbrother. Jace, I called out through the mind link. There was a brief moment of silence, and then I could sense his surprise through the mind link. It was as if he hadn't expected to hear from me after all these years. Erika? He replied, his voice laced with disbelief. Is that really you? A smile tugged at the corners of my lips as I felt a rush of emotions flood over me. Yes, Jace, it's me, I confirmed. There was a pause on the other end of the mind link, and I could sense his curiosity growing. What do you need, Erika? It's been 3 years. Did your marriage work? Jace asked. Taking a deep breath, I gathered my thoughts before continuing. Jace, I've made a decision. I'm leaving the Bloodmoon, and I'm returning to start afresh, I explained. I want to meet you at the borders of the Bloodmoon Pack, now. All right, I'll be there, he responded and cut the mind link. I walked for a few more miles and finally, after what felt like an eternity, I arrived at the border. My heart raced as I took in the sight before me. Parked there, right at the edge of the pack's territory, was a sleek and modern Tesla model. Ease-plaid, polished exterior gleamed under the moonlight, a stark contrast against the dark wilderness. I smirked and slowly approached the car. The door was slightly ajar, as if inviting me to step inside. And then, as if in a dream, my heart surged with pride as my stepbrother Jace stepped out from the passenger side. He looked different from the last time I'd seen him 3 years ago. His shoulders were broader, his gaze more focused, and his height was impressive. He had a dark aura around him, one that wasn't that obvious before. We locked eyes in the dark and instantly felt an unbreakable bond between us. His driver stepped out as well, impeccably dressed, and exuding an air of professionalism and discretion. Wow, Jace looks completely different. Cindy screamed in my head, and I almost rolled my eyes. Part of me was thrilled to see him after 3 long years. But there was also a sense of competition between us each time. Even if I was the alpha, he never showed me that respect, and instead acted like the typical big brother I'd really wish I didn't have. We exchanged pleasantries, each trying to assert our dominance. "Erika," Jace greeted me. "Looking good. Ready to take on the pack?" I smirked, determined not to let him have the upper hand. "Of course, Jace. I've been preparing for this moment my whole life." "Yes, you're indeed ready," Cindy yelled happily. Jace chuckled, his eyes sparkling with a mix of amusement and pride. "Oh, I've always been 1 step ahead of you, little sis. But I'm excited to see what you bring to the table." I smiled softly as the driver came and took my luggage from me. "Whatever I bring to the table has nothing to do with you, Jace," I replied, trying to sound sarcastic but also maintaining a respectful tone. Jace finally chuckled and took a step away from where he stood. "Welcome back, Erika." Alex's POV. In my office, Gage sat across from me, looking surprised and concerned. He then blurted out, "Dude, I can't believe Erika actually rejected you in front of everyone." That was intense. I leaned back in my chair, trying to maintain a cool and collected facade. "Relax. Erika was just throwing a tantrum. You know how she can be sometimes." Gage raised an eyebrow, clearly not convinced by my nonchalant response. "But, Alex, it seemed like more than just a tantrum. She seemed really serious about ending things with you. Are you sure you're not underestimating her feelings?" I shrug, trying to downplay the situation. "Look, Gage, I know Erika better than anyone. She's always been a bit dramatic, especially when things don't go her way. And she might be a bit mad because I nearly choked her and made her apologize to Saren. But trust me, this is just another one of her phases. She'll come around eventually." Gage leaned forward, his voice filled with genuine concern. "I don't know, man. This feels different." Just as Gage finished his statement, a knock came at the door immediately, and we both shifted our attentions to the door. That must be Erika. I knew she would be okay in no time, like I told Gage. "Come in," Gage called, and the door was pushed open. In walked a maid with her head bowed as she stood before us. "Greetings, Alpha Alex and Beta Gage," she greeted, and I just leaned back into her seat. "Why are you here?" I asked. She hesitated and began fidgeting with her clothes. "Are you here to take your clothes off?" Gage suddenly asked as he took a sip of his wine. I almost chuckled, but I had to look serious before them. No, sir. I'm here for something else." "Which is?" I asked this time. "Alpha Alex. Luna Erika has left the pack," the maid said, and I froze. It took me roughly 2 minutes to process her words. "Erika left the pack?" Gage turned to give me that knowing look of his, and I glared at him. He turned to look at the maid and stretched out his hand to give the cup back to her. "Thanks for the information. Please take this back to the kitchen and don't come back till we call for you," he said, and the maid nodded before scurrying away. Gage then turned back to me again and smiled. "Alex, Erika left the pack," he purposely repeated, and I had the urge to hurl something at him. "So?" I asked instead, seeming unfazed. "I'm telling you, your mate left the pack and all you could say is so," Gage asked in disbelief. What was he expecting me to do? Go after her? Oh, please. I'm the alpha and not some dog who follow a woman around. Erika is such a child. She is just throwing a tantrum. She'll return when no one says a word to her, I said tiredly, and took up a project I left pending for weeks. Alex, can you hear yourself? Gage yelled, and my wolf growled as well. Keep it down, will you? How can I do that when you don't even act like you're sane? I rolled my eyes at him. I am sane, Gage. You just don't understand, Erika, I tell him, and focused on the paper in hand again. So what if she doesn't return as you said? Gage asked, and I was so tempted to send him out of my office. How could he be such a pest in another man's issues? My lips curled into a smirk as I sneered. A poor orphan, fatefully bound to me. Does she truly believe that abandoning the sanctuary of the Bloodmoon Pack will offer her solace? She deluded herself if she thinks the streets will be kind to her, far from the luxury she's grown accustomed to within this walls. Gage just gave me a bewildered look and I smiled. I stood up to my feet and strolled towards him, patting his shoulders softly. Erika is a gold digger who found her way into being a Luna of this pack through the moon goddess. I'm even surprised how she matched me up with a lowlife instead of someone like Saren. Speaking of Saren, I have to go check on her. She must be awake. I matched towards the door when Gage suddenly called out to stop me again. Alex, you're seriously not going to look for Erika? I groaned in anger and turned to look at him in annoyance. She will return on her own, I said, and pulled the door open to leave. You really have to go look for Erika, I heard my wolf. Elijah spoke in my mind, and I rolled my eyes. You too? Weren't you there when she rejected us? I asked him. That was because you treated her wrongly, Elijah growled. What wrong did I do? I asked. You asked her to kneel before that cunning woman and apologize? You even almost killed her. I chuckled at his words. Firstly, Erika had to apologize, and secondly, she was very annoying and disobedient. So I was carried away by my anger, and choked her, I replied as I got closer to Saren's door. Now be good, Elijah. Erika will return when she's done wandering the entire city without any help. Elijah let out a frustrated groan, clearly angered by my decision of not looking for her. But I didn't let his annoyance get to me. I knew that deep down, he would come to terms with it soon. After all, Erika's actions were her own choice, and we couldn't force her to stay if she didn't want to. As I reflected on Erika's behavior, a mix of frustration and disappointment washed over me. She could be so cunning and manipulative, always playing her own game. It wasn't enough for her to simply be jealous of Saren. She had even tried to kill her. Now, she had taken it a step further by leaving, likely to make herself look pitiful in front of my subjects. Erika was being pretentious, and she was always seeking attention and sympathy, using any means necessary to achieve her desired image. But deep down, I knew that her actions would only lead to more complications and challenges for herself. Erika's POV. Father had never stopped talking about your marriage with that alpha for the past 3 years, Jace said to me as he continued going through the papers in his hand. We were in the car, currently going back to my pack. Jace had insisted that I return home first, and on the day of dissolving the mate bond, he would gladly bring me back to the Moon Forest pack, so that I could leave Alex for good. It did hurt that I left my husband, but I also know that every decision I was taking right now is for the best. Alex had hurt me, including the entire pack members, so feeling sad for leaving my problems behind was very unacceptable. Why would he even be talking about my marriage? I begrudgingly asked. My father and my brother could be very nosy at times. I hated it when they stalked me or tried to look into my personal life. But I still couldn't deny the fact that they cared for me deeply. After the argument with my dad 3 years ago, he shouldn't even be thinking about me. But he still cared and kept an eye on me daily. I was pretty sure he knew every single maltreatments I faced in the Moon Forest. Whether he planted a spy in the Moon Forest or not, he would get any information he wanted about me. So I just couldn't hide, even if I wanted to. You clearly told him 3 years ago, if I remember, that you would mend your marriage. But we have a result already, don't we? Jace said, and chuckled at the last part. He sure knew how to make mockery of me. I had always kept to my word when it came to making decisions and promises, but my failed marriage was a whole new level of difficult. A loveless marriage would never benefit anyone. Instead, it would break you till you become the shell of your own self. Here, this is the new contract papers. Jace handed me the papers he had been going through earlier. What's this for? I asked, giving him a raised brow. The new contract, Jace repeated. I heard you the first time. What is this contract all about? Jace sighed with a smile, tugging at his lips. 3 years ago, when you were about to get tied down by that man-whore. You signed a contract with Father, right? He asked. Yes, I did, I replied. Well, this is the new one. More like the opposite of the previous contract, he said again. And this time, I snatched the papers from him. Cindy was already getting pissed by the contract word that Jace couldn't stop saying. I skimmed through the entire thing exhaustedly and realized it was actually a contract that stated that I wouldn't have anything to do with the Moon Forest ever again, and I would be the alpha of the Ironclaw Pack till the day I take my last breath. Seriously? The day I take my last breath? Why did Dad change the rules? I asked Jace in shock. He smiled in return and said, You're the first woman to lead the Ironclaw, so he needed to change the rules. I furrowed my brow at his explanation. What has me being the first female to rule the pack have to do with being the alpha till my last breath? Jace seemed to have read my mind, because he added, You are not allowed to get married again, Erika. But you can keep a lover. You just can't mark each other. My eyes widened at his words. I felt the world spin as well. Your father is sure very strict, Cindy chimed in, and I growled. Don't worry, sis. You'll be just fine, Jace encouraged. And I had no other choice but to relax. I took the pen from him and elegantly signed my name, accepting the rules my father had brought in suddenly. Jace smiled at me and patted my head softly. You're not just an ordinary woman, Erika. You are the most powerful woman in this country and more, he said, eyes flashing with something unknown. I smiled at his words and looked down at the papers once again. My thoughts went back to my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, who said they despised me because I was a poor orphan. How would they react if they discovered that I was actually the youngest member of the Blackwood family and the next alpha of the Ironclaw Pack? I remembered when Alex's sister fell ill from drinking a little amount of wolfsbane mistakenly. I had to stay up late at night to make her every meal she requested for. She would whine and cry, saying she felt pains in her stomach and her wolf was in pain as well. At the end, she would ask me to make her some pasta and meatballs. I knew these were all pretenses. When everyone else slept, I would stay awake to make meals for her. I clenched my fist, a trace of mockery flickering in my eyes. Given the opportunity, I would definitely love to teach those 2 arrogant women a lesson and let out all my pent-up anger. Soon the car drove into the estate of the Ironclaw Pack house, and I relaxed a bit. I was finally back home after 3 long years. The entire place looked the same, security guards flooding the entire estate. The car pulled up at the entrance of the mansion that was twice the size of the Moon Forest pack house. a clear testament to the powerful influence of my pack. The Moon Forest was nothing compared to my pack, and my pack, as the #1 in the country, definitely lived up to its reputation. Jace pulled open the door, and I stepped out from the car. There were maids at the entrance, and once I stepped down from the car, they all bowed in unison. "Welcome back, Alpha Erika," they chorused, and I smiled in response. It felt good to be back home. Jace led me into the mansion and straight to my father's study room. If there was anyone I missed the most, it was my father. We might have had a rift 3 years ago before I got into marriage. I still had the same amount of love and respect for him. Even more, if I may add. The entire place still looks the same, Cindy said, and I hummed a reply. Indeed, nothing changed. Soon, we arrived at the entryway of his office, and Jace turned to me with a smile. "Good luck with him," Sissy said, and walked away once I nodded. I took in deep breaths and knocked on the door. His voice rang from the inside, urging me to come in. With determination shining in my eyes, I muttered, "Time to see father," before pushing the door open and walking in. Erika's POV. The room was dimly lit, with the soft glow of the moonlight shining through the opened window. And there he was, my father, sitting with an air of elegance and stoicism that had always defined him. It had been 3 long years since I last saw him, and despite our differences, I couldn't deny the pang of missing him deep within my chest. My gaze lingered on his back as he sat facing the window, his broad shoulders framed by the fading light. I stood there, taking in the sight of him, admiring the way he carried himself with such grace and authority. My father was the epitome of a good leader. One with strength, and as the name of our pack implied, he ruled with an iron claw. It was as if time had stood still, and at that moment, I saw him not just as a strict and domineering figure he always appeared to be, but as a father who had shaped me in more ways than I could ever fully comprehend. Suddenly, he broke the silence, his voice carrying a weight of authority that sent shivers down my spine. Without turning to look at me, he uttered a single heavy word, "Erika." It was a simple yet powerful acknowledgement of my presence, a signal that our conversation was about to begin. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself as I stepped closer to him. He finally turned his head slightly, his eyes meeting mine in the reflection of the window. There was a flicker of warmth and understanding in his gaze, a silent recognition of the struggles I had faced during my failed marriage. I was right when I said my father spied on my marriage. He probably knew I would fail to mend it. Without a hint of judgment or reproach, he spoke again, his voice softer this time. "Welcome home, Erika." Those 3 simple words held a world of meaning. It was an acknowledgement of my journey, a recognition that sometimes we stumble and fall, but family is always there to catch us. I smiled at him softly and took a sit before him. He then turned fully to look at me. "Thank you, Alpha," I said, the smile still lingering on my face. "Your father is so scary," Cindy whined, and I chuckled. "Took you long enough," my father suddenly said, and shook his head slightly. "You said 3 years," I reminded. "And yesterday was marked 3 years complete." "I know," he responded. I gave him a questioning look, and he smiled, finally. "Don't give me that look. You're going to be Alpha." "What has my going to be Alpha got to do with you spying on my private life?" I asked, and folded my hand beneath my chest. My father could be so annoying sometimes. Does he think giving me a smile would make me let bygones be bygones? He spied on me for 3 years, even after we signed a contract. "You could easily be killed there. You're the Alpha, and we had to look out for you," he said shamelessly. "I am the Alpha, and I can protect myself," I protested. Seriously, I never pictured this reunion. "Erika, that Moonforest Alpha is a failure. I did try to let you know, but what did you say?" And here we go again. "Father, let's forget about that for now. I'm back now, right?" I asked, with a smile. My father snorted in response and gave me a knowing look. probably sizing me up. "You sure took care of yourself there," he said sarcastically, directly mocking my thin body. And I sighed. "Father, I'll be fine," I still tried to assure him. "When are you going to dissolve the mate bond?" 2 days, I simply answered. I would return to the Moon Forest in 2 days and break things off with Alex for good. "Very well then. In 2 days, I shall take you to break off the mate bond," Father said, and I looked up at him immediately. "No, Father. You don't have to go with me." I even shook my head, standing firm on my decision to keep making the Moon Forest Pack members still believe that I was an Omega. Father raised a brow at me, and I smiled. "Don't worry about the reasons. I'll be safe," I reassured him. And he sighed. "It's okay. Go and tell Jace about your plans and hear what he has to say," he added. And I nodded. "Yes, sir." I hurriedly stood up and made my way towards the door, but halfway to the reaching for the doorknob, Father called out to me, and I turned to look at him. He switched on the light on his reading table, and I could clearly see the smile on his never-aging face. "Welcome home, once again." I smiled in return as well. "Thanks, Father." I walked out of the room afterwards to go find Jace. I was supposed to be resting, but I was impatient. I had always been impatient. Thankfully, I found Jace at the garden, reading a paper and sipping whatever substance was in his mug. "Jace, I want to have a word with you," I said, and sat on the chair close to him. He sighed and turned to look at me. A smile formed on his face. "What do you have to say? Make it snappy." "I was reading when you came in, remember?" I glared at him as I snatched his substance from him. Taking a sip of it, I placed it back down on the table again and cleared my throat. "You really just came to take a sip?" he asked, and I rolled my eyes. I mustered up the strength and agreed. I could feel the weight of the decision I had made, the determination burning within me. "I've made up my mind," I began, my voice steady. "In 2 days, I'm going to dissolve my mate bond with Alex, and I'm going alone." Erika's POV. After the conversation with Jace, we agreed that he would take me to the Moon Forest Pack, but he would wait at the pack's borders for me. He won't take me to the pack house. Currently, I was standing in my bedroom, one I had missed for so long. It was twice the size of the one I shared with Alex back in the Moon Forest. "Why do you keep bringing that lowly someone into everything to compare in the house?" Cindy suddenly yelled in frustration. "Honestly, whenever I set my eyes on anything in this house, I am instantly reminded of Alex's house. Though my house was definitely 2 times larger than his, I still couldn't help myself." "Please stop thinking about him," she pleaded, and I smiled, taking a seat at the balcony and staring into the open sky. The lights from the street illuminated the entire surrounding, and some patrol guards were still seen on duty. "He is still my husband," I said to Cindy in a tired tone. "You've left him and you're not his wife anymore," she whined. "That is until the mate bond is dissolved and I sign the divorce papers. I'm still his legally married wife and mate. If all these isn't settled," I added calmly. "Come on, Erika," Cindy urged again. "Enough dwelling on the past. Look ahead and embrace the future that awaits you." I smiled and leaned back in my seat. "But Cindy," I called out softly, my voice barely audible in the stillness of the night. "How can I simply forget the love I once had? The dreams we shared? What dreams did Alex ever share with you?" "Alex is a dickhead?" she yelled in anger, and I chuckled again. "Cindy," I was joking. "Alex is going to be my past once the bond is dissolved. I won't dwell on the past." "Great. That is Erika speaking," she whined excitedly. I stayed still for a few minutes, then took out my phone. Staring at the screen for a few more minutes, the weight of the decision I was about to make seemed to suddenly press heavily on my shoulders. Cindy, sensing my unease, padded over, asked, "What's troubling you again?" Her voice laced with a hint of worry. "You've been lost in thought for quite some time now." I let out a heavy sigh, my fingers trembling slightly as I unlocked my phone. "Cindy, I've been thinking," I confessed, my voice barely above a whisper. "I want to reach out to Alex and ask him to prepare the divorce papers." Cindy snorted, a low growl rumbling from her. "After everything he put you through?" She snarled, her voice dripping with anger. "You deserve better, Erika. You deserve to be free from the pain he caused." "Go ahead and tell him." I nodded. "I know," I replied. "But I need closure. I need to sever the mate bond and move forward with my life." "You've got closure. In a few days, you'll become the alpha of this pack, the strongest pack in the country. You'll become the strongest and most powerful woman in this country," Cindy added and growled at the end of her statement. I laughed slowly at her way of trying to cheer me up. With a newfound resolve, I took a deep breath and composed a text message to Alex. My fingers moved with a mix of trepidation and determination as I typed out my intentions. I hit send, feeling a strange mix of relief and anxiety wash over me. Afterwards, I walked back into the room. It was already midnight, and I knew I needed to take care of myself first and foremost. I stepped into the shower, allowing the warm water to wash away the remnants of the past, both physically and emotionally. Dressed in fresh clothes, I settled onto my bed, the soft sheets comforting me as I closed my eyes. Sleep didn't come easily that night, my mind swirling with a mixture of emotions. After an hour or two, I finally fell asleep. Morning arrived with unwavering swiftness, as if time itself was aware of the weight that rested upon my shoulders. The memories of years spent enduring mistreatment and serving as a mere maid in the Moon Forest pack house had ingrained within me the habit of rising early. It was a routine I had grown accustomed to. After a refreshing shower that washed away the remnants of the night, I found myself drawn to the familiar warmth of the kitchen. Having cooked in the pack house for so long, I pretty much enjoyed cooking. As I busied myself with the task of preparing breakfast, the clatter of dishes and the sizzle of food filled the air. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the scent of pancakes and bacon, creating a comforting symphony that enveloped the room. The anticipation of the reactions to come danced in my mind, both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. My father would never believe I learned to cook after just leaving for 3 years. I could remember how I was punished by Alex's mother because I messed the kitchen up while trying to cook for the first time. When Father and Jace descended the stairs, their expressions shifted from groggy confusion to utter shock. Their eyes widened, mouths agape, as they beheld the sight before them. It was a scene they had never witnessed before, a role reversal that defied the established order. "If I should say that," I chuckled at their expressions. "You cooked?" Jace asked in a sarcastic tone and even snorted. "Yes, I cooked," I answered. "I hope it's eatable and not some poison," he asked again, in a low tone which I clearly heard. Cindy chuckled at that. "I added a few wolfbanes to yours. It can't get effective in your body." I sat next to Father as he took his place at the head of the table. The maids, who were used to being the ones to cater to their every need, stood frozen in their tracks. Panic etched itself onto their faces, their eyes darting back and forth, unsure of how to react. It was as if the very foundation of their existence had been shaken, and they were left scrambling to make sense of this unexpected turn of events. Well, it was a big deal for someone like me to cook. I watched Father have his first bite and waited expectantly for a compliment. But it never came. "You shouldn't wait for a compliment from him. It's a total waste of time," Cindy said nervously. I refused to listen and kept my eyes on him. He noticed my gaze and looked up at me. "How is it?" I asked directly, tilting my head a bit to appear dainty and innocent. "When have I ever given anyone a compliment?" he asked instead, and I rolled my eyes. "You changed the pack rules because I was going to rule. If you don't give me a compliment, then I might change my mind in becoming alpha," I stated as a matter of fact. He looked into my gray orbs, his matching mine. "Is that a threat?" he asked calmly, a smirk forming on his face. "If I didn't know better, I'd be scared to death." "It is," I affirmed, and he chuckled, focusing back on his food and staying silent for a while. Actually, I had been joking when I said I needed a compliment. If he couldn't give me one, then I would never force him. That was his true nature. But the next minute, "You've become a great cook." I froze. Erika's POV. 2 days later, as Jace drove me back to the Moonforest Pack's borders, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions swirling inside me. My eyes were fixed on the passing scenery outside the car window, trying to distract myself from the heaviness in my heart. But Jace, being his usual self, couldn't resist making some cold yet funny remarks. "So, Erika, how about we play a game of who can stay silent the longest?" Jace said, and I had the urge to ask him to stop the car and let me get down. I rolled my eyes, choosing to ignore his comment. I knew he was just trying to lighten the mood, but I wasn't in the mood for games. I wanted to focus on the task at hand and the thoughts that were weighing me down. Jace, however, was persistent. He continued to make snarky remarks and sarcastic jokes, his words bouncing off me like water off a duck's back. It was his way of coping, I suppose, but it wasn't helping me at this moment. Despite my best efforts to hide my true feelings, Jace saw through my facade. He knew me better than anyone else, even when I tried to put on a brave face. He knew something was bothering me. "Erika, you can't hide from me," Jace said, his voice softening slightly. "I can tell that something's bothering you. You know you can talk to me, right?" I sighed and turned to look at him. "I'm fine," I responded, definitely not in the mood to have this conversation with him. "Come on, tell me," he urged, and I growled. "Is it about your man-whore husband?" he asked again, and I nodded slightly. Hiding things from him was near impossible. You don't have to think about him. Besides, you're about to break things off and be free. Once the mate bond is dissolved, whatever feelings you have left for him would disappear without a trace, he said. I didn't respond to that. I did hear from Father earlier this morning that dissolving the mate bond would hurt a lot, but I could endure because of my alpha strength. Maybe it wouldn't be that bad. Soon we arrived at the Moonforest Pack border, and I stepped down from the car. "Call me if anything goes wrong," Jace instructed, and I nodded. I sighed as my gaze lingered on the road ahead. The pack house could be seen in a distance, and if I didn't know better, I would think the appearance of the pack house as it looked from afar was really how it looked like in the inside and in close proximity. As I walked back to the Moonforest Pack house, the weight of my emotions seemed to grow heavier with each step. I reached the grand entrance and was granted entry, but something felt off. The maids, who usually greeted me with a respectful bow, seemed to be ignoring me entirely as they went about their cleaning duties. Confusion and a tinge of anger washed over me. It was as if I had become invisible to them, just another insignificant presence in the vast living room. I was still their Luna, even though I left the pack. How dare they treat me like air? I ignored them and made my way up the stairs. Determination fueled my steps. I knew exactly where to find Alex at this time of day in his office. Without bothering to knock, I pushed the door open, expecting to find him alone. But what I saw shattered the last remnants of hope within me. There, on the sofa in his office, sat Alex, with Serenity by his side. Her head was resting on his thigh, a picture of comfort and intimacy. My heart sank, and my fists clenched involuntarily at the scene before me. The pain of our impending divorce and the betrayal I felt surged through my veins, threatening to consume me. How could he move on so quickly? We hadn't even finalized our separation, and yet he was already treating Serenity as if she were his Luna. A mix of anger, hurt, and disbelief washed over me. I stood frozen in the doorway, unable to tear my eyes away from the sight that tore at my heart. The room suddenly felt suffocating, the air heavy with unspoken words. At that moment, I realized that the life I had once known, the love I had believed in, and the fact I thought that I could mend my marriage, was slipping away. The pain of seeing Alex with someone else, especially so soon, cut deep, leaving scars that would take time to heal. I felt that he just wanted me out of his life so fast. Alex's head soon snapped to the door and he saw me. He then smirked at me for no reason. "You finally couldn't endure the life outside this walls and now you're back?" He mocked and relaxed further into his sofa. Ignoring his taunts, I walked further into the office. Serenity, sensing the tension, quickly straightened up and lowered her head, trying to appear submissive in front of us. I couldn't help but give her a disdainful look, a silent reminder of the pain she had caused me. "She's such a bitch," Cindy suddenly groaned at the sight of her. Turning my attention back to Alex, I mustered all the strength I had left. "I came here in regards to my text," I said, "to dissolve the mate bond and sign the divorce papers." Alex froze as my words registered in his head. He looked up at me and into my gray eyes. "You still want to put on an act?" I cut him shut before he could mutter any more nonsense. "I'm not putting on any act, Alpha Alex. Just give me the papers and I'll sign. Then we'll go dissolve our mate bond afterwards," I said in a firm tone and glared at him. The fear I once had for him disappeared. Alex chuckled and stood up to his full height. "Okay," he mouthed before stepping closer to his table and retrieving some papers. He threw the papers in my face, but I couldn't care less about it and just picked it up to sign. After signing my name elegantly on it, I handed him back the papers. Now it's time to dissolve the mate bond. Alex's POV. Dissolving the mate bond? I scoffed in utter disbelief as I and Erika stood before the altar of the moon goddess. Erika was really taking this too far, and I had thought she was just joking when she said she wanted to dissolve the mate bond and get a divorce. It wasn't until she signed those divorce papers without hesitation that I knew she was very serious about all these. Well, I couldn't care less what she was trying to achieve by doing all these. I felt nothing for her, by the way, so I could never be affected by her brainless decisions. "You have to stop this," Elijah began again, and I was so close to snapping. He really knew when to ruin a person's moods. "This is what she wants. Why should I stop?" I asked him, in a tone that seemed rather off, one that wasn't my usual way of sounding. "She is doing all these because she is mad at you. If only you could beg her and tell her to forget about everything and start all over, then—" "All right, that's enough," I cut him off, not believing the things he just said. "Are you being serious right now? Apologize to Erika?" I snorted and just looked ahead at the altar before me. I would rather be a slave than apologize to Erika. Just then, some pack elders assembled around the altar and looked at the both of us. "Alpha Alex, Luna Erika, is this what you both really want?" one of the elders asked again, to be sure of this sudden decision of ours. "Yes," I and Erika said simultaneously, and I turned to look at her stoic expression. "See, she doesn't even want to stay," I told the whining Elijah. "Just apologize, and she'll stay." This time, I ignored him and focused back on the task at hand. The elders did a few things I couldn't quite understand as everyone watched patiently. The entire pack members were present, including my mom, Sis, and Saren, of course. Everyone looked in anticipation as I got this thing over with. Erika had no one on her side. Then I remembered her background. She was just a lowly Omega when I saw her for the first time that day and realized she was my mate. So definitely she had no one to stand with her. Only the goddess knew how she would survive once she left the walls of this pack. If she wanted, as my ex-mate, I could offer her a place to stay in the pack, and maybe she could be Siren's personal maid. That would elevate her life even more. The elders of the pack had just completed their solemn rituals, And now it was time for Erika and me to take our place in this sacred act of separation. With a deep breath, I knelt down beside Erika, feeling the coolness of the stone floor beneath me. The air was heavy with anticipation, as the elders instructed us to close our eyes and offer our prayers to the moon goddess. At that moment, everything seemed to fade away. The sounds of the world around me became distant whispers, and the only thing that mattered was the connection between Erika and me, now on the brink of dissolution. I closed my eyes, my mind filled with a mix of emotions. I knew this was the right path for me, since she chose the separation. But it didn't make it any easier. The bond we had shared, once strong and unbreakable, was now being severed by her own choice. Though I never loved her, to break a bond between an alpha and his Luna was one hell of a separation. After a while of the prayer, we finally concluded, and I opened my eyes. I glanced at Erika, and she still had that stoic face from earlier. Who was she angry at when she was clearly the one who chose this rejection? It was a surreal moment. After a while, the elders just instructed us to go to a secluded corner to have a little chat while we waited for the goddess's answer. Erika and I found ourselves in that quiet corner. But to my surprise, she didn't say a word. It was like she was deliberately ignoring me, which was completely out of character for her. I couldn't help but feel a mix of disbelief and frustration. This was the same woman who used to act so meek and would always have this intense love in her eyes whenever she looked at me, and now she couldn't even bring herself to look at me, let alone speak to me. It was like I didn't even exist. Honestly, I didn't care much about her attitude towards me. As the alpha, I had a certain level of pride and authority to uphold. But deep down, my ego was definitely bruised. I mean, how could someone who was once so infatuated with me suddenly act like I was invisible? As we sat there in silence, waiting for the final decision, I couldn't help but wonder what had changed between us, especially what had changed in her. She used to be an obedient little wife, but jealousy had led her into doing something so stupid by trying to take someone's life. Now she was giving attitude? What a shameless woman. The elders came back after a few minutes and informed us that the moon goddess had accepted our prayers. It was time for the final process of rejection. Erika and I made our way back to the altar, the weight of the impending rejection heavy on my shoulders. As we stood there, the elders gave us a nod, signaling that it was time to begin. But as I looked into Erika's eyes, I found myself at a loss for words. Now I found it difficult to even form a word of rejection. "It's not too late to stop this, Alex." "Don't do this," Elijah pleaded, and I swallowed. Before I could open my mouth to say a word, Erika beat me to it. "I, Erika Blackwood, hereby reject you. Alexander Robertson, Alpha of the Moon Forest Pack, as my mate," she declared without blinking, and I gritted my teeth in anger. Here I was, finding it difficult to form the rejection words to say to her, and she willingly said it without remorse of any kind. How heartless. "I, Alexander Robertson, Alpha of the Moon Forest Pack, accept your rejection." As I accepted the rejection, a sharp, searing sensation shot through my entire body. It felt like 1,000 knives piercing my heart and entire body, making it hard to breathe. I clenched my teeth, desperately trying to hold back the scream that threatened to escape. But as I looked at Erika, I saw the agony etched across her face. The pain was too much for her to bear silently. A gut-wrenching scream tore from her mouth, echoing through the air. It was a sound filled with anguish and heartbreak, a cry that mirrored the pain we both felt in that moment. I felt my legs give way beneath me, and I fell to my knees, the weight of the pain and the rejection crushing me. It was as if the ground had been ripped out from under me, leaving me in a state of emotional paralysis. The pain was choking, suffocating, making it hard to find any solace or relief. No one had told me that it hurt this much. even Elijah. After another round of intense pain, the pain finally subsided, and I was able to see again. The elder then stood before us and declared, "From today, you both are no more mated to each other." I saw Erika smirk before standing up to her feet and looking me dead in the eye. "I hope we never meet again in the future," she said to my face, and turned around before leaving the premises. Erika's POV. The pain had truly been blinding, and it had taken all of my willpower not to ask for the words to be taken back. It was not just about breaking the mate bond, but the fact that I still loved the bastard. Yes, it was a pathetic reality to face, but it was how I felt. I had thought that dissolving the mate bond would dissolve every love too, just like Jace said. But it had not, and I guessed that was the consequence of living a life without my moon goddess-given mate. Though who could hardly blame me for wanting to reject him as quick as I could. The shock I had seen on his face when I had uttered those words first kind of fanned my dignity and pride. He had not been expecting that for sure. Well, Erika Blackwood was not going to be anyone's doormat anymore, love or not. I stepped outside the premises to meet up with Jace and leave this place with bad memories I'd rather forget. But a certain blonde came into sight as she stood before me in all her manipulative glory. The evil of this girl. "Out of my way, Serenity. I wouldn't want you to say I stabbed a fork through you this time," she chuckled, "but a short and evil one. I'm just here to congratulate you, Erika. You did the right thing. Now you've gotten your desires. Step out of my path. I was trying to control Cindy from taking over. I was nice, but to Serene, she was meaner than I was. She wouldn't hesitate to tear her into shreds if given a chance. Why are you letting her get away with insulting us, Erika?" Cindy growled in anger in my head. "Calm your claws and sheath your fangs, Cindy. Let's save the strength for a worthy opponent. We're alpha, the strongest kind amongst werewolves. She's just a normal werewolf. She's no match for us." Cindy wasn't happy. The pain we'd both gone through during the dissolve of the mate bond had left her in great ire. "Exactly, Cindy. She's no match for us. One touch, and she'll be all bones and blood," I told her, hoping she'd stay calm in my head. "And if I don't?" Serenity raised a brow in challenge. "You see what I'm talking about? Let's teach her a lesson." My wolf bellowed from my head, but I ignored her. She was trying to take over, but I was not letting her. I smirked. It was an unfriendly one. "Please leave my way." "And I repeat, if I don't?" She advanced forward in a dare. "You're no match for me, Serenity. Leave my path." Where the hell was Jace, anyways? He should be in view, where I would easily spot him and not have this crazy werewolf keep trying to stick her fingers into my eyes. She let out a taunting chuckle. "You? A common Omega? Dare to tell me that I'm no match for you? You must be in a reverie." I folded my arms. "What do you want, Serenity? Is there anything of yours that I'm in possession of?" "You're not worth being in possession of what belongs to me, if you know what I mean." "I do know what you mean, and that is why I've left him for you. Enjoy, Alexander, for all I care." Her face immediately turned sympathetic and innocent. "Oh, I'm so sorry for what happened." She moved to hug me, but I gently pushed her away from me. She screamed and fell to the ground. "Why are you this mean to me? How dare you, Erika?" Shivers of shock coursed through my body, and in bewilderment, I turned to see that everyone had gathered outside of the altar, where we had just dissolved our mate bond. Alex stormed towards me, anger blinding his expression. I turned to her. "Well played, Serenity." She had seen everyone gather at the entrance and pretended to be friendly just to make things worse for me. "Please help me up, Alex." I was just trying to be nice, but she pushed me. "See, I got injured." She showed her elbow to Alex, and true enough, there was a big scratch that bled a bit. "How dare you?" Alex boomed at me. "See, I told you to deal with her, Erika. She would not have done what she'd just done. Teach her a lesson. Yet again, I ignored Cindy's angry howl in my head. I did nothing to her, I said calmly in my defense, already knowing that Alex would never believe me. It wasn't the first time. I saw you. We all saw you. Stop lying, he yelled at me. I said I never touched her, I yelled back. I might allow Serenity get away with her mischiefs around me, but I would never let Alexander insult me because of her again. We had nothing in common anymore. You even dare tell it me? He seethed. My gaze swept to Serenity, who stood by his side, a calm smile playing on her lips. Let me take control, Erika. These people won't talk to you with total disregard. They must be seeking death. Cindy pranced angrily in my head. No need. They don't deserve to know who I am, I remarked and stepped closer to Alex. Now one advice for you. Alpha Alexander Robertson of the Moon Forest Pack. Hold your beloved Wolfess. Keep her far away from me. Obviously shocked at my defiance, and the audacity to talk to him in that manner, he stepped forward as well, in a menacing manner. I stood my ground. He was an alpha like myself. He would not be able to defeat me in any battle. Alphas possessed the same power. Despite the difference in gender, Alpha Alex would never win me in any duel. Are you sure you want to be talking to me in that manner? Realizing I did not want to reveal my true self, I willed my anger to the barest minimum and tried to look meek. I'm sorry. I need to go now. I attempted to walk past them when suddenly, Serenity cried out in pain and my hand closed over a small weapon. Erika's POV. I turned sharply and saw Serenity bleeding profusely from her sides. Confused and at loss for words, I stared blankly at the knife stained with her blood in my hand. What just happened? Why the hell are you so wicked, you vile woman? I heard Alex's mom yell to me. But I couldn't even complete my stuttering. Everything had happened in a blur. I was walking past them, and I felt a knife pressed into my palm. Out of defensive reflex, my brain had quickly responded to the fact that I might be in danger and had my hand clasp over the knife before it hurt me. I looked at Serenity. She was crying in pain as everyone huddled around her, trying to stop the bleeding. What in the goddess's name is wrong with you? Alex was beyond angry. He was seeing red. Believe me, Alex, I did not, I was still saying, when he suddenly cut me shut. Enough of your lies! How petty can you get? He roared. Why are you not believing me? Serenity was hurt, and that was a huge crime. It would be seen as attempted murder again, which was definitely not. This pack was definitely hell-bent on causing me so much troubles. Now I even begged Alex, as if he would believe me. I hadn't even brought any weapon to this ceremony. I just knew Serenity had done this on purpose. But how desperate was she to prove? What in the goddess's name was she trying to prove? It was obvious she wanted Alex, which I willingly left for her. Why was she going such extra mile to do this to me? This would not be happening if you had shown them who you truly are, Cindy uttered. I could feel her annoyance and disappointment. You know I can't do that, Cindy, I defended. Why? You can't tell them you're an heiress to the biggest and most prosperous pack in all 4 regions of Fangoria? I kept mute, not saying anything more. You've done more than enough harm today, Erika. You shall definitely be punished. Why? I asked, befuddled. You tried to kill Saren, and that for the 2nd time. It is a crime punishable by death. He spat. You know me, Alex. For the 3 years we have been married, I have never done anything like this. Have I? Where the hell was Jace? Why was he not here? This was a case I could not try to fight my way out of. Anywhere this case was judged, even as an alpha, I'd be dealt with. I watched them rush Serenity out of the place. The cut was deep because she was still bleeding. What was even wrong with her? How could she risk her life just to destroy mine? I used to think I know you, but now I don't anymore. And I have never been happier about this day and the ceremony that took place. Without wanting it to, my heart constricted in pain. For some reason, I felt helpless and in despair. I was going to kill that stepbrother of mine. I swear by the moon goddess, I would. Realizing I was still dumbly holding the weapon, I threw it to the ground and prayed to the moon goddess for a way out of here. If anything should happen to Serenity, I was going to bid my life goodbye because I would be executed. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a tit for tat, a life for a life. That was the way of the werewolves, royalty regardless. I, Alpha Alexander Robertson of Moonforest Pack, hereby accuse you, Eric. No, I screamed. He must not make that public accusation. It would ruin my life in a second. I needed to run away. I would not stand and allow Serenity's evil plan jeopardize my chance to become the Alpha my father wanted me to be. I would not want to soil my name or my family's legacy for a crime that I had not even committed. If he should complete that public accusation, werewolves would come after me. They would stop at nothing to come for life. Thank the moon goddess he had no idea who I was. To Alexander, I was a common omega. Let him continue to believe so. Moving back as though I was in fear and almost surrendering, I took to my heels, breezing past Alex before he could realize what was happening. Taking the forest path, I weaved through thickets as I heard Alexander call his guards upon me. Make sure she does not escape. I was an alpha. Normal werewolves could not compete with me in terms of strength, speed, agility, and survival instincts. I could easily outrun them. I could not tell how long I had been running for, but when I turned, I could no longer see nor hear the heavy stomping behind me. I slowed down, but I didn't stop running. Where was Jace, and how would I be able to find him now? He had the car, and I needed him to drive me out of here. I could not wait to get back to Ironclaw Pack. Father had warned me, but I had not listened to him. He was never in support of this marriage. He had wanted me to take over, but I had been adamant. My marriage with Alex was a sham, nothing to write home about. All my efforts to be the good, submissive wife had boomeranged as humiliation and pain to me. Erika, I heard someone call out to me. I paid no attention. It might be Alex. He might have joined the chase. I would not let my guard down. I needed to increase my pace and leave here. I was out of the forest now. I was maneuvering through buildings and vehicles. People stopped to look at me as though I was insane, but I did not care. Better insane than executed for a crime I did not commit. Erika, the voice called again. I risked a glance beside me to see it was Jace. Hop in. Jumping over a car, I slid in through the door he had opened for me, and we zoomed out of there. Where the hell were you? Erika's POV. I'm sorry, but it wasn't my fault. He apologized, still keeping his gaze focused on the road. How is it not your fault, Jace? How? I growled at him. Stop yelling at me, okay? Will you calm down? Don't tell me to calm down, Jace. You abandoned me back there. That was not the plan. I was expecting to see you as soon as I stepped outside of the sacred building of the moon goddess. I asked you to wait at the pack borders, but I mind-linked you to come over to the sacred building. He sighed. I was waiting there. Then why did I not see you waiting there when I was done? I angrily removed my shoes, throwing them to the back seat without actually looking to see where both shoes had landed. They were the least of my problem at this moment. I was angry at myself. Why I had allowed what had happened to happen. It would shock you to know that 2 of these wheels were deflated. I sharply turned to face him. What? Yes. I left the car to go make a few calls. I didn't notice anything when I returned. I went inside and tried to just drive around the area. The car was moving rather weirdly. I was surprised and came down to understand what was wrong with the car. He paused and swerved, venturing onto another route. The path of Ironclaw Pack. I released the breath I did not know I was holding. But I was shocked by what Jace was telling me. How could two of the tires have been deflated the same time? After checking the engine and seeing there was nothing wrong there, I stooped to check further, and that was when I saw the deflated tires. I had to find a way to move it out of there and get the tires changed. That took me a while because I had to employ some helping hands. Me! He yelled at the last part, as he couldn't even imagine himself doing the jobs of guards. This is strange. This has never happened before. Moreover, this is a new vehicle. Father just bought it. You told me so. He nodded in affirmation. Yeah, he did. Which is why it came as a surprise to me. Worry and suspicions twisted my guts. Someone had tampered with the tires, hoping I'd get into an accident with it. Thankfully, it wasn't the brakes. Things made by humans were never to be trusted. How were you able to find me then? I asked. I saw you being chased by some guards from afar and decided to follow behind slowly, so they do not figure out anything. You said you wanted to keep your identity a secret. Seeing you in a brand new, expensive-looking vehicle would surely not help your case, especially one that had the Alpha of Ironclaw Pack written on the car's plate. Thank goodness, and thank you for helping me protect my secret. He gave an acknowledging nod of his head. Why were you running? Did the mate bond dissolving ceremony not go well? He spared me a glance before refixing his eyes on the road. It went well, I replied somberly, suddenly not in the mood to talk about it. Are you sure? You don't look like it did. He studied my face. I sighed, looking out the window. I know I had nothing to do with Serenity's current situation, but I still hoped that nothing would happen to her. She bled so much, I hoped she did not die from losing all that blood. What I could not understand was why she would go through that pain just to ruin me. She already had Alex to herself. Was everything that had happened today after the ceremony worth it? Even before the ceremony, when she had tried to end my life by deflating those tires. But could it really have been her? We didn't even know each other. She had no idea who I was. The vehicle had been parked in a way no one would have noticed it. I had even told Jace to remove the car's plate and only replace it while all was done and we were well on our way home. Why did you not remove the plate as I'd instructed you to? I did remove it, but I put it on my way back. What's wrong? Do you think someone might have seen me? Maybe, I don't know. He shook his head in disagreement. Personally, I don't think anyone saw me. The day of your mating ceremony that I had arrived. I made sure to remain anonymous to all. But how come the tires were deflated? 2 at once? Don't you think the deed was too intentional to be passed up as mere coincidence, Jace? Maybe. I think so too. But no one knows this is your vehicle? The plate was not even there when the tires were deflated, so who knew you enough to have done this? Maybe someone had probably seen me get down from this vehicle, Jace, and they had assumed it was mine. And who was it? I suspect it's that Serenity. Serenity? The Manhurst slut? Ex-husband would be preferable. Jace, I corrected him, casting him a look of disdain. Oh, sorry. Ex-husband. But how come? It's not as if you're still planning on staying married to him. So what could be her reasons? This seems too personal. I don't even know. She just hates me, I guess. I didn't know how to begin explaining the incident that just happened. Does she have anything to do with why you're being chased by some werewolves looking like guards? He inquired, slowing down to study my expression. I kept it as unreadable as possible, though I knew he could see through my facade. I was still trying to get my head wrapped around what had just happened. If not for my quick thinking, Alex would have had me thrown in jail for allegedly trying to attempt murder in his pack for the second time. What would my people say? What would my father think of me? And if Serenity had stupidly given herself a slice so deep, it had ruptured a very vital organ, and she died. That was my end, because there was no way to prove I had not done it. Thank the moon goddess that no one in Moonforest Pack knew my pack. They would have come for me. That stupid, mean Serenity would have made me end up in a dungeon, or if she did not survive it, the guillotine. I shivered in fear as I blinked back tears. It was time to forget the ugly memories of the Moonforest Pack and focus on my future, Ironclaw Pack. Erika's POV. We're here, Jace announced as the huge gate was pulled open to reveal the biggest pack in all of Fangoria. Let me introduce my pack again. The Ironclaw Pack situated on the east side of the city, but we were the strongest and largest in all 4 regions. Alex's pack was the 3rd strongest and biggest, but they were on the south side. Please, is there a way you can drive around the back? I requested. Jace glanced lazily at me and asked, why? He wasn't stopping. I'm not in the mood to see anyone right now, I told him. It was the truth. I wanted to be left alone. Today had just been one of the most eventful days of my life, and that was saying something. And if Father asks about you? He asked lazily again and drove around to the back. You can tell him I got tired and decided to take a quick nap. I'll see him later. Jace chuckled slightly. You know, Father, he won't agree to that. Please just find a way to convince him. I really wish to be left alone. Not even your best friends? He suddenly asked, and I paused. But after the brief pause, I still shook my head. No one for now, Jace. Please stop there, I said, and gestured towards the back door entrance. He sighed. All right then. But whatever is bothering you won't solve the case if you remain in seclusion. You'll have to see and talk to the people that care about you sooner or later. I know. And I'll prefer it to be later, as you said. I need to get myself back to my composed self. You're usually composed, Erika. I don't understand why you think staying indoors and not talking to anyone, alienating yourself, will do you any good, he said again, his brow creasing in confusion. It might not be the best solution for me, but it is the only solution I want to engage in for now. Just stop asking. He said nothing more. Driving us around the back of the huge mansion, he finally stopped before the back exit of the building that led to many hallways and smaller exits. Switching off the car's engine, he turned to face me. What happened? Tell me. I really wish I could right now, but I just can't. I just feel so overwhelmed by the whole thing. I promise I will tell you. I just want to be calm and level-headed when I do. He took hold of my hands and squeezed. You know I'll always be here for you, right? Jace asked, his usual cold self disappearing without a trace. I nodded. Right. Be good, okay? And when you feel like talking, you can always count on me to listen. I know that. That's why I'm grateful to have you. I willed back tears. I would not let them fall now. All these emotional talks were making me want to fall apart in Jace's arms. But I would not. He never knew me to be an emotional mess. I was going to be an alpha, and I had to show them that I was one by buckling up the emotions. Okay, you can go now. He released me and I stepped down from the car, not bothering to take my shoes. Your shoes, Erika, he called. I'll take them later, I responded without turning to look at him. Those shoes were the least of my problems. I walked through the exit door and down one of the many hallways, not stopping until I reached my room door. Usually there were lots of maids in the entire corners of the mansion, but this time I never came across any. I opened the door and walked into my big, exquisitely decorated room again. Without giving in to the temptation of hitting the bed, I trudged to the bathroom, wriggled out of my dress, quickly took a shower, and put on a simple yellow tank top and black shorts. I padded my way to the bed and collapsed on it. Trying to fight away the pain, it stubbornly clung tighter, and soon I was a bawling mess, curled in a fetal position. It's okay, Erika. Let's stop being sad, Cindy comforted from her sad position in my head. I knew she felt the pain of the mate bond, but was trying not to let it get to her that much. But it was almost impossible. She was badly affected as I was. Why would Alex do this to us? We're his mates. I still stubbornly clung to that belief as I sobbed. We used to be, not anymore, Cindy corrected and gritted her teeth. It really hurts, you know? Yes, Erika. I feel every pain, but we're alpha. We can't let the issues of love cloud our duty by birth as rulers of Ironclaw Pack, she reminded. I know that, but surely we're permitted to mourn what we lost, right? I asked as I turned to face the window. I guess you could say that. Cindy was trying to be strong, but I could hear the sadness and pain weighing down her words. Also, why would Serenity try to destroy us, Cindy? What kind of an evil personality is she? I sniffled. I hate that girl. I told you to teach her a lesson back then, didn't I? Yes, I know, but I could not just let you rip her apart for no cause. You call what she did no cause? Are you being serious? Okay, maybe it was not a serious cause. You know how strong, big, and powerful you are, which is why I rarely let you out except when necessary. And it was necessary out there, before Alex and Serenity. You would have killed Serenity, I argued. She would be dead anyways. I felt her careless shrug. Please don't say that. I don't want her to die. What is she living for? So she could be alive and plot more ways to end you? Us? Because you know if you die, I'm gone too. Nothing will happen to us. And we escaped from there. Good for them. She and Alex can have the happily ever after they want. Yes, the thought of Alex and Serenity together made my stomach churn. The idea was not a pleasant one at all. Alexander Robertson of Moon Forest Pack, after everything I'd done to make him happy. The sacrifices, the compromises, everything a good wife and Luna was supposed to. I did every of those, and this was the appreciation I got. Not believing me, siding with Serenity, publicly humiliating me, even sending his men after me. It was such a pity how much time I had wasted proving I could mend my marriage. If I had known that the man I had all too willing abandoned my birthright for was going to turn out throwing me under the bus, I would have remained in Ironclaw Pack, as father said. A knock came at the door. Now, who was that? I had said I didn't want to be disturbed. Erika, open up. Erika's POV. What was my father doing here? I thought I had asked Jace to keep any visitors away from my room for the time being. I didn't want any disturbance. I pretended I was asleep. Maybe if he knocked several times with no response, he would go and leave me be. But the knock persisted. Erika Blackwood, open this door right this instant. I was going to kill Jace. I swear by the moon goddess I was going to end him. Just one little request, and he couldn't successfully carry it out. I knew father was here to offer comfort, but I was just not in the mood to answer questions or give explanations. Having no choice, I sighed, climbed out of bed and went to open the door for him. Head bowed, I greeted my father. Good day, Alpha. Until I was publicly announced as Alpha, he was still the Alpha. He suddenly pulled me into a hug. I fought tears from welling. Father is hugging me? I put my arms around him, reveling in the warmth and parental affection he was dishing out. Thank you, Father. For what? He rubbed my back comfortingly. For this. I held him tighter. Cindy also couldn't help it, and purred in my head at the kiss my father gave me on my forehead. I appreciated it greatly. Even though I didn't want him to see my vulnerability, we needed this, Cindy. Yes, we did, came her calm response. Now, tell me how it went. He pulled away from the hug and led me to the velvet sofa in my room. Seating as regally as the Alpha he was, he faced me. I couldn't say anything. I watched his patient and expectant expression, studying mine, waiting for me to begin to tell him how it went. Ever since I'd lost my mother, he had been there for me, carrying out the role of both parents. I'd heard people complain of having an alpha or a beta parent who had no care for them and only focused on their duty, but my dad had been different. Alpha Jerome Blackwood of Ironclaw IV was not like every other parent I knew. He was both a ruler and a parent. Over the years, he had managed to combine both responsibilities and made it look like it was that simple, especially with two children, Jace and I. He was here because he cared. He was here not because he wanted to rub the wounds in, but because he genuinely cared. He had opposed the union between Alpha Alex and I from the onset. Even though he was my mate, Father had said he didn't think Alex was prepared to have a mate, and because all I had wanted was to be happy with my mate. I had refused to listen, and here I was, back in my father's pack. We dissolved the mate bond, Father. My voice trembled with shame and pain. I averted my gaze, unable to look at him. Using his thumb, he held my chin so I was looking at him. You're an alpha, Erika. Don't let them know you're weak. I blinked back the tears that shone in my eyes. Dad was always teaching Jace and I to never show weakness, especially in public. But for 3 years, that was all I'd been weak. I'd allowed my love for Alexander turn me into the version of a werewolf that Father would have hung his head in disappointment at. I'd allowed myself be played over and over just because I was trying to mend what I wished I had realized sooner could not be mended. It's so hard, Father. It's so difficult. I regret not listening to you. I regret not taking your advice. I broke into a loud sob, feeling the weight of past events, and even today's, replay in my head. Come here. He pulled me closer once again. I sniffled, trying to stop the tears. He was patient with me, and it took a while before I could pull myself together. I drew back and looked him in the eye. I am done with the mate bond, Father. Alex and I are no longer mates. Tough choice, isn't it? He inquired, studying my face, probably for any sign of another meltdown. Tough choice, but it should be done. It was hard trying to single-handedly maintain a bond that was supposed to be maintained by 2 persons. The weight has left your shoulders? Somehow. But Father, I can't help feeling like I should have done more. I don't know. You have given your best for 3 years, Erika. Alex is not ready for a mate bond, and you can't force a grown werewolf alpha to be ready for anything. Leaving was the right thing to do. Your dignity and pride is in place, he said, trying to make me feel better. I guess so, Father. The door was suddenly pulled open. Erika, I'm so sorry, I told Father. But Jace began to say, but Dad cut him shut. Get the hell out, Jace, Father ordered him. Father, don't make me have troubles with Erika, he pleaded sheepishly. Father merely raised a brow. What troubles? For one, the stink eye she's throwing my way right now. I giggled. He was right. I was trying to mess with him. I wasn't mad. I just wanted him to feel like I was mad. Father turned to look at me, and I immediately straightened my face, pretending a calm one. What stink eye? I shrugged, though I knew Father had seen it. You won't see it. Jace sighed. Then he looked at both our faces and scowled. He had caught on. Nice one, guys. Playing with me like that. He closed the door with a bang on his way out. He's going to refuse talking to me for a few days, Father chuckled. Only for a short while. Jace can't hold grudge for long. I smiled a little, feeling lucky to have people like Alpha, Jerome, and Jace around me. I know that. He stared at me, and I sighed. I will be fine, Father. Maybe not today, but I will be fine. I'll bounce back on my feet and be that badass alpha you want me to be. You'd better be, else I'll be forced to hang you upside down at the center of the pack, he threatened jokingly. I chuckled. Yes, I was lucky to have him in my life. Erika's POV. I need you to cheer up and come celebrate your singlehood and the strength for overcoming it all. Also, for your soon-to-be position as the alpha of Ironclaw Pack, he said, patting my back encouragingly. Yes, Father. I'll be out soon. I just need to remain alone for a while. He sighed, looking at my face. You sure you'll be fine? I'll be fine, Father. Why can't you just be fine now? He raised a disapproving brow at me. Father, bad things just happened to me. I need time to get them off my mind so I can concentrate on ruling as alpha when it's time. Better to be distracted now by memories than to be distracted later on as an alpha. I tried to reason with him. He nodded softly. I understand. Anyone in your shoes would need time to piece themselves back together, he said, showing his unwavering support. And that melted my heart. I moved closer to wrap my hands around him. Thank you, Father. You're the best. Anytime, my little alpha. He kissed my brows and stood up to leave. I should get going. Anything important for the day? I took in his height. My father was a really tall alpha. His presence was imposing, and he commanded attention wherever he went. I was proud of him and how far he was taking this pack. I hoped when it's my turn, I'd be able to do better. Yes, I have 2 very important meetings. One with the elders of the pack and second one, I'll be hosting some neighboring alphas. Immediately concerned, I faced him. Any war from enemy packs? No, not at all. They are the Eastern Alphas. We just want to think of the region and how to increase security and just general welfare discussion about the East region, he explained. Are you sure? I asked with a narrowed gaze. Yes, don't worry. I'll be fine. He patted my head and proceeded to the door. I'll tell the maids to come see to your needs. They'll be bringing food too. But Father, I'm not. I'll see you later, little alpha. With that, he was gone. I sighed. He already knew what I was going to say and had cut me off immediately. I was not hungry and wanted to be alone, but Father was just too concerned to actually listen to mine own wants at the moment. Releasing another sigh, I climbed back into my bed and tried to close my eyes. I pulled the bedsheet over my head, making sure every part of me was covered. My head would not stop throbbing, and as much as I tried to stop thinking of the events from earlier, I could not. The betrayal and pain of 3 years was something that could not be easily washed away in a day. I was trying to forget, but it was hard. Where had I gotten it all wrong? What had I done to get it wrong? I'd been a faithful Luna and submissive wife. I had tried my best to make sure I gave Alexander the kind of home most men would want to have. I heard another knock on the door, but I ignored it. Father's presence was enough for the day. I did not want to see any other person. Tears refused to fall, but my heart was bleeding within. It was tormenting my sanity, making me about to question myself again. Your Highness. I knew then it was a maid. Go away, I commanded from beneath the sheets wrapped around me. Your Highness, came the voice again. Go away. I raised my voice even more this time. The maid rapped on the door again. It was soft and patient. Your Highness, please, can I come in? I realized she had not heard me the other times. I needed to pull the sheets away, and I did just that. Whoever you are, go away. I do not wish to see anyone. I'm sorry, Your Highness, but the Alpha said I must insist, she said, raising her own voice so I could hear her. The Alpha's not here now, so go away. I'm really, truly sorry to do this, Your Highness, but I must obey the Alpha's order. Already knowing where it was headed, I groaned in annoyance. Do not dare come. And she was inside the room. Greetings, Your Highness. Welcome back. She bowed in greeting and respect. I was called Highness because Father was the Alpha King. I grumbled in response. One could not have peace and a much-needed alone time to think and just be. Here's your meal. The maid pleasantly went about her assigned duty, setting the table for me. Bring it over. I was not in the mood to get down from this bed and eat on the table close to the sofa in my room. Okay, Your Highness. She gathered the tray and brought it to me on the bed. She set it and stood at a respectful distance. Pretending I was oblivious to the covert glances she was throwing my way, I picked up a spoon and scooped warm soup garnished with what looked like lamb. 3 spoonfuls of the broth goodness and an apple later, I could no longer pretend she was not staring. What do you want to say to me, Melissa? It's nothing, Your Highness. I took a short sip of water and settled my eyes on her freckled face. She was pretty with those reddish-brown spots on her nose and its surrounding. Say it. I'm so sorry for what you went through, Your Highness. She blurted, keeping her head bowed. I smiled at her boldness. Raise your head, Melissa. I instructed her. She obeyed and bit her lower lip nervously. Why are you nervous? I asked with a playful smile. I don't know how you would feel with me sympathizing with you. Being a maid and all, she said honestly. And I nodded. Now being a maid doesn't make you a lesser person, Melissa. I find it very nice that you sympathize with me. Thank you. She appeared calm, her nerves gone as she gave a short bow, a small smile spreading on her lips. Welcome, Alpha. Erika's POV. I'm done, I declared as I placed the spoon down on the tray. I was unable to finish the entire meal, but I ate some, for Melissa's sake. If Father returned and found out that I had not eaten, he would surely blame the poor girl. No problem. But you didn't finish the food. She stared at the half-eaten bowl of soup and other food she had brought, alongside fruits. I'm full, I informed her. Are you sure about that, Alpha? I cocked a brow. I'm not a child, Melissa. I should know when I'm full, right? Yes, Your Highness. I'll be leaving now. She gathered the tray. You need anything else, Your Highness? Some peace and alone time would do, I told her. She merely smiled. It's okay, Your Highness. You'll be fine with time. But you all decided not to give me the time to be fine, I grumbled. Sorry about that, Your Highness, she chuckled softly. The Alpha just wants the best for his daughter. I nodded. I guess you're right. She left, and I went back to lying in the same position I'd been in before. Maybe I should try to get some sleep. My head was still aching. I closed my eyes in a bid to catch some sleep, but Serenity's face flashed through my mind and my eyes flew open. I groaned loudly. Why was she haunting me now? I wasn't even the reason she was in bad shape. She had tried to bring me down by ruining my life. That knife belonged to her. That crazy, mean Serenity. It even made me wonder where she had kept the knife that I had been unable to find it. I sighed and tried to go back to shutting my eyes tightly, wishing for the sleep to come. I was almost succeeding in getting carried away into dreamland when the door suddenly made a knocking sound again. Whoever you are, go away. There was frustration and annoyance laced in my voice. Maybe I should just go lock the door. Father might not be happy if he was unable to get access in to see me, but he would have to understand. The door opened regardless. I sighed. Why was no one listening to me? Well, they would have to talk to themselves because I was not going to talk to anyone. Tell that to anyone but Paula Blackthorne. At the voice, I jerked up instantly. Paula? I was definitely not expecting to see her. And she was holding a small duffel bag. She pulled me in for a bone-crushing hug. Gosh, you've lost weight. How are you doing? Managing my voice muffled as it was buried in her neck as I inhaled her ever so comforting scent. She wrapped me in tighter. I'm so sorry I was not there for the dissolving mate bond thing ceremony. I had asked around and I was told it was quite a painful ceremony, so I could not bear to come see you in pain, Paul said softly, and patted my head. It's fine, Pauls. I'm just happy you came. Paula Blackthorne, one of the two best friends I had. While she was calm, there was this don't mess with me aura she oozed off. Sometimes people mistook her calmness for weakness until they saw her in action. My 3 years with Alexander had been bearable because of her and some other important people in my life. I never wanted things to end the way it did for me and Alex. But it did. And I feel like it's kind of my fault, I said as I pulled away from the hug. She cradled my face firmly. Her green orbs, the shade of a very lush forest, stared into my own silver-gray ones. It's never your fault. You did your best. It's just a pity that Alpha Alexander never valued what he had, and now he has decided to cherish a pebble, letting a beautiful emerald slip through his fingers, she said in an exaggerated tone, and I chuckled. Why emerald? It's my favorite gemstone, she replied cheekily. Does this have anything to do with the fact that you have very fine green eyes? Though they are more forest than emerald, I asked, and pulled her to sit on my bed. My favorite color is green, you know that? I thought it was blue. I purposely taunted to get a reaction from her. Hey, don't mess with me. She gave my hand a light swat. I laughed in return. Sorry. Of course I knew her favorite color was green. It paid to have wonderful people around during trying, depressing times. Was it why you went for forest? Because green is your favorite color and you have eyes like that of forest? I teased again, always enjoying the moments with her. Oh, that was a nice observation. I've never really thought of it that way, she chortled. I guess you can say the moon goddess understood my love for green and gave me forest as my mate. I laughed at that. Making herself comfortable on the bed, she slipped off her shoes. And yes, you could guess they were green heels, the shade of her eyes. Her bag was long dropped on the low table where my meals were served sometimes. I hope Alexander is not going to be mad that a member of his pack is here? I asked. Mad that I'm here? She raised a brow. First off, does he know who you are? I shook my head. No. But you told Gage? Gage was her fated mate and the beta of Moon Forest Pack. Gage Forest, the good-looking young beta with long brown hair, a huge tattoo, and a bad boy attitude. Perfect for Paula. Though he always defended me in the pack, I still wasn't comfortable with him. No, you said you wanted no one to know. And though it kills me to have a secret hidden from my mate, I still won't tell him. She sighed. Thank you. I offered a small smile and hugged her again. Where's your father? I should say hello to him. That should have been the first thing before coming to see you. It was a rule guiding the werewolves. Any outsider that came to the Alpha's home must pay homage to the Alpha before going about their intended visit. He's not home, I replied. Where did he go? Had some Alpha duties to carry out, I informed her. All right, I'll just have to wait then. She brought out her phone and called Gage. But she ended it and frowned. His line isn't going through. And the mind link? I asked. Nah, we haven't opened that yet. Maybe after sex, which I'm not ready for. She dialed his line again for the second time, and it went through, thankfully. Gage. Hello, beautiful. She had the phone on loudspeaker as she stared at me. I'm at the Ironclaw Pack, she suddenly said, and my eyes went wide. What the hell are you doing? I yelled, and she smiled, gesturing for me to calm down. Ironclaw Pack? Gage was surprised. Why are you there? I went to meet up with a friend, she answered, and Gage chuckled. Are you pulling my legs? Do you even know that pack? That's the #1 in Fangoria. Now you have a friend there? He asked playfully, and Paula frowned. Before she could say another word, he added, Soon, you'll tell me it's the next Alpha of the Ironclaw Pack that is the friend you went to see. I and Paula froze. Erika's POV. And if I say yes? She asked, and I glared at her. Gage chuckled at that. What's funny? she grumbled in annoyance. Your tone. Hey, I miss you. He changed the subject. I miss you too. Paula's frown changed to a big, sheepish smile. When are you returning home? I heard Gage ask. I won't tell you. But you already know I'm here with my friend to comfort her, and until she gets better, I'll be with her. What happened to her? Gage asked, and I glared at Paula again. She just broke things off with her husband because he cheated and had a baby outside the marriage. Paula skillfully explained, and I let out a breath I didn't know I had been holding. That's quite bad. And so you're saying you'll leave me for long? His voice sounded a bit sad. Well, that's what the mate bond could do to anyone. It had happened to me too when I was still married to Alex. I had remained submissive and loyal because I wanted to be by his side. I swallowed the tears and pushed back the pain. I needed to heal, and I could not do so if I kept remembering the past. No, I'll be back soon, she giggled and assured him. You're sure? He asked again like a love-struck fool. I instantly became jealous of them. Why couldn't mine had been like theirs? That's 'cause our mate was a douchebag, Cindy added in my head. Of course, Paula said to him, and pulled me back from my overthinking state. I tapped her to get her attention. She turned her gaze on me. Ask of Serenity, I whispered to her so Gage wouldn't hear. Babe? She called before the call would end. Mean beautiful. Have you heard any news on Serenity's current situation? She asked in a tone that wouldn't arouse suspicion. Not yet. It turns out she lost lots of blood and passed out when she was being taken to the hospital. He replied, and I felt he shrugged. That bad? Paula turned to look at me with a clueless shrug, meaning she had no idea on Serenity's health. Yes, which is why Alex is incensed and wants to get Erika by all means. If you ever find Erika, please don't tell Gage where she is, Paula pleaded. I'm torn between duty and love, he stated. Gage! She yelled. Love wins, he laughed. I'm return. I'll kill you before dissolving our mate bond if you tell him anything, Paula warned without a smile. You won't dare, Paula Gage groaned, probably hating the word dissolve mate bond. It was her turn to laugh. Try me Beta Gage Forest of Moonforest Pack and see what Paula Blackthorn would do to you. You know what it does to me when you threaten me in that fierce tone? Gage sighed, and I felt bad for the poor guy. Well, he wasn't poor, and he was no better than Alex. Your flirty Beta, Paula, teased him. They ventured on with their flirty conversations. I took my mind off of their love, naughty talks. Serenity was still in the hospital. She had been hospitalized. Mother of the Moon, please let nothing happen to Serenity June. She brought this upon herself, but if she died, it would be concluded I had intentionally murdered her out of jealousy and bitterness again. When Serenity had re-entered Alexandra's life, I knew things were only going to get worse. I knew Alex had not really married me for love, but just the mere fact that I was his mate. Mate bond was stronger than what anyone could ever fathom. It was strong and powerful. Pulling from it was something that could almost kill any werewolf that attempted it. Talk more of an alpha and Luna. But because Alex and I had been alphas, our wolves could mostly survive it. Not to say it had not been painful, too. In fact, the pain had been blinding and heart-stopping. If it could be that painful for alpha werewolves, talk more of wolves of lesser class. Alex had changed totally and became closer to his ex Serenity. I tried to fathom her reason for coming back into his life. If only Alexander could open his eyes and see what his ex truly was. I love you, Blackthorn. I love you too, Forrest, her call ended. Gage did not tell you anything? I asked her, and she shook her head. No, he did not. It's quite a long story. Like you heard what I just told Gage. I have time. You're staying for a few days? Until you're better. Where's Katerina? I was expecting to see her. I haven't seen anyone since I returned. I shrugged. It was not a shock because if my plans to be alone had worked, no one would be here. But then again, Paula was here and it was greatly appreciated. At least, I would not have to be attacked by memories of my past, of my 3 years that had yielded nothing. All right, so tell me, Paula began, and I nodded. After the whole ceremony, I came outside to meet Jace so he could take me home. Serenity was there, blocking my path. I tried to be civil, but she was not ready to be civil. Unaware of her manipulativeness, she turned sober and hugged me, pretending to be sorry for the way things had ended between us both. I paused. What a sly bitch, Paula remarked. I pushed her away, but not hard enough to make her reach the ground. Being the drama queen, she flung herself to the floor and scraped her elbow. I never knew those in attendance had spilled out of the moon goddess's altar and had seen what had happened, or rather they had seen what Serenity wanted them to see. I gave brief pause again. You know, I wonder what Alexander sees in her, she hissed. Alex got angry and yelled at me. Angry, I yelled back. But when I realized his alpha wolf was trying to come out, and I did not want anyone to know that Cindy is an alpha wolf, I regressed and apologized. I decided to leave then and there. I paused again to lick my lower lip. I walked past Serenity when I heard a scream and a knife was thrust my way. I acted in reflexive defense, closed my hands over the knife, thinking it wanted to harm me. The knife was found with me, and Serenity was almost bleeding to death. Oh my goodness! How could she put herself through such risk just because she wanted to ruin you? Paula was shocked, just as I was the first time. I had asked myself the same question over and over again. I don't understand why she was doing all that, because I had already dissolved my mate bond with Alex. Before Paula could say anything, the door opened to reveal my other best friend, and the mate whom Jace would never accept. Katarina Greywood. Yahoo, girls. Erika's POV. She rushed over to me and pulled me into a hug. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, darling. I came as soon as I heard of the mate bond dissolution or that I just returned. I asked her, hugging her back. I'm sorry, darling, that I was not there to stand as an emotional support during the dissolution, but I'm happy Paula was there. At least you had one of us. She placed wild kisses on my face, which made me laugh. My crazy friends. Actually, I wasn't there, Paula told her as she sat up from the bed to wrap Katharina in a warm hug. And hello, Kat. Hello, Pauls. You just came? She studied Paula's dark blue denim and a cropped, turtle-necked top. Nah, I've been here a while, she informed her. Kat grinned. You look good, as always. Paula grinned. So do you. You girls, I'm here. I'm the reason for the moment I pouted, but they knew I was joking. I was happy to have 2 of my friends in here with me, especially Kat, after such a long time. Katharina had been my best friend from childhood. We did almost everything together, and she was everything I was not. Sassy, outspoken, funny, and can be vicious when the occasion called for it. She had complimented my quiet, reserved self. My father had given our relationship a thumbs up, not because I needed his approval to have friends, but he liked the fact that Katharina was everything his daughter was not. He saw it as a perfect combination. Fire and ice. Well, Paula was actually the ice if truth were to be told. She could be cold and fierce, while Kat was the fiery furnace that could burn dangerously when tampered with. I was somewhere between. Kat and I had grown up together, and imagine my happiness when I found out she was going to be a permanent part of my family as she was mated to Jace, my stepbrother, though the fool had refused to accept her. I had stepped into the Moonforest Pack and I had met Paula. At first glance, I thought she was going to be this cold, distant bitch to me, but she had surprised me by making life bearable for me. especially when Alex was making me sad and causing me pain through his nonchalant attitude towards me and his disregard towards our mate bond. The first time I had gone out with Paula to meet Kat in secret, that was the day she'd known my secret as the daughter of the alpha of the most strongest and powerful pack. I was scared she might not be able to keep it safe, but for 3 years, she had proven her loyalty as my best friend. And what was more, Kat and Paula had liked each other on the spot, which had scared me because I had thought I would have had different lives with each of my best friend. "You'll be fine. We're here to make sure you are," Kat said, unzipping her dress and stepping out of it. Cladded in just her mismatched but finely designed underwear, she jumped on my bed. My bed was big enough to accommodate the 3 of us comfortably. I picked up her dress and draped it on one of the sofas. The door suddenly opened to reveal Jace. "I thought as much," he said as he stepped in. "You should have knocked." I glared at him. He didn't take me serious. Only for Paula, but for you and her, he pointed at Kat, who was batting her eyelash at him. "Not necessary," he said. You see, Jace loved Kat, but he had refused to mark and mate her for reasons best known to him. They both did what other couples out there always do, but they weren't marked yet. Kat was already out of bed and lowering his head to kiss him. They both engaged in the kiss without the thought of Paula and I. Paula calmly took pictures. I just rolled my eyes. "I hope they're good ones?" Kat asked Paula when she noticed she was taking photos of them. "Yep. Caught you both in all the right, perfect angles." "Excellent." She had pulled from the kiss but still held on to Jace, who was grinning like a simpleton. Again, what the mate bond could do to werewolves. Jace never liked smiling. "I thought Cade smelled you, and I began to suspect your presence when he pranced excitedly in my head as I got nearer to her room." He pointed at me as he said those words to Kate. "Tassira had been bugging to see you, but I had to come see my darling and offer emotional support." Kat replied and lay back down. Jace stared at me and chuckled. "I just knew you would never have the alone time you wanted to," he said. "It was your fault Father came in here in the first place," I accused him. "You know Father. Also, you enjoyed his presence because you both toyed with me." I remembered and chuckled softly. That was a good one. He took one of my throw pillows and aimed it at me. I tried to duck, but it still hit me. "You and your crazy aim." Jace had always had a perfect aim. Even when you tried to dodge, you ended up being hit. "Now let me leave you guys be. Father had put me in charge while he is away," he said, and captured Kat's lips one more time in a deep kiss before he would leave. "I hope you're doing a good job?" I teased him. "This is supposed to be your duty, not mine," he retorted. Many would think being a guy, Jace would be jealous and angry that Dad would rather have me as the alpha than him. But he was not like that. In fact, Jace was a very quiet person that made his own money. He was hard-working in his own way, but did not care for the fame or popularity. He just wanted to keep being rich without the title. He even sometimes denied being the alpha's son just to avoid too much bows of respect and the attention it drew his way. "Go handle Ironclaw, Jace," I chuckled. He glared and walked to the door. "Bye, ladies," to me. "Be fine and come take up your responsibility soon. Stop being a whiny wolf." He chuckled, making me slightly puzzled why. "Cade said you should fuck off." "Tell Cade to go to hell," Cindy uttered from my head. And Cindy said to go to hell. Erika's POV. "What? That mean brat?" Kat exclaimed in anger. Paula had told her everything I had told her that had transpired between Serenity, I, and Alex. Exactly. How could she go to that extreme? It was obvious both of them were getting really angry over the issue. I was angry too, but I was also worried. Is it abnormal to say I am worried? Worried? Why will you be worried? This was from Kat. I shrugged. I don't know. Are you responsible for her injury? Paula asked me. No, I yelled. Did you stab her then? I glared at both my friends. It was as though I was being interviewed. No, I did nothing, I replied. So why should you be worried? Kat, can you hear her? Are you sure she's all right? Paula directed to Kat. Let her be. With time, she'll learn to be strong. Kat said. You know, as the heiress apparent of Ironclaw Pack, you can do better. Erika, this was from Kat. Using my name. I second her statement, Erika, Paula put in. She got up to undo the zip of her denim and removed the material. Like Kay, she was left with her underwear as well. I sighed and collapsed on my bed. I was not a pushover, but then again, I was not Katarina Greywood or Paula Blackthorne. I really did not know how to bring people down. I did not have the heart to do to people what they did to me. As much as I was angry with Alexander, I knew I was still soft-hearted towards him. If I saw him now, I would still be tempted to talk to him. Though the way I'd put on that stoic demeanor when the ceremony was about to start, it was all a fey-aid. I had felt deeply every bit of it. I exhaled deeply. My friends were right. I needed to be strong. But then again, I did not think it was something I could achieve in a day. Moreover, that part of my life was over. The only thing I wished was for Serenity to survive this, and once the news got to me that she did, I was free. I would focus on my new life and become the alpha I was born to be. Are you thinking again? Kat caressed my arm. Of course you can see she is. It's written all over her face. Paula peered into my face. You guys are lucky, I said, my tone trembling. I saw them exchange concerned glances before flanking both sides, each of them lying beside me and holding my hands. I reveled in that comforting contact. The moon goddess will bless you with a better mate, darling Kat soothed. Have faith, Erika. You'll be happy once again, Paula supported. I just realized I was scared of being alone. I had everything anyone ever prayed to have. Everything except one. A mate to love and respect me. And I couldn't tell them that father said couldn't be mated to anyone again. Until then, you be the girl I know you to be. This was from Paula. Even in Alex's house, you were still a wonderful person, despite the things you were going through. I was putting up a pretense, Paula. You were being strong, and that is the you I know, Paula said seriously. Remember how I used to be so scared of insects? Whenever you saw them, even before I did, you would either steer me off that path or chase them away from the place. You are a good person, darling, and soon you'll find someone who would suit you and love you just as you deserve. Kat comforted, and I felt pained that I couldn't say the truth. Well, aren't you girls just the best? I asked to change the topic, 'cause I was feeling a bit better. This was why they were my best friends. I might not be lucky to find a good mate, but I was lucky to have been blessed by such wonderful souls. Yes, what will you do without us? Kat said, nudging me playfully. We need to be nominated as Best Friends of the Year, Paula put in, nudging me the other side too. Some persons are becoming full of themselves. I shook my head, chuckling lightly. I'm starving, Paula suddenly announced. Let me get the maid. Kat searched through my wardrobe for something to wear. She sometimes wore my clothes, especially when she came for unplanned sleepovers. I had to get her an extra toothbrush before I left the pack for Moon Forest, in case she decided to sleep over. She quickly put on one of my dress and walked out to get a maid. She had always been visiting the pack house since we were little. The maids knew her, even the new ones that had replaced the old maids. They would quickly attend to her as they accorded her respect, especially since she was mated to the alpha's son. 15 minutes later, she was back with 2 bottles of alcohol. What's with the alcohol, Kat? I'm hungry. Drinks can come later. Paula frowned at the 2 bottles she held in both hands. Where did you even get those bottles? The maids gave it to you? I asked her. Nope. She plopped on the sofa and placed the bottles on the table. I met a certain someone. Jace? I guessed exhaustedly. She grinned. But Jace would not commonly give you that. She shrugged, a mischievous glint in her cornflower blue eyes. What are mates for? Oh, Paula had a brow raised. She definitely played that card. What card? I stared blankly at Paula. The card, the look in her eyes made me understand. Oh, I exclaimed like Paula. Will you guys like to know how far I played it? She still had that mischievous glint in her orbs. With that gown? I pointed at the flimsy dress she'd found in my wardrobe and went to seduce poor Jace with. This gown is the best, she giggled. You're shameless. Kat, this was from Paula. I'll take that as a compliment. You ungrateful best friends, she narrowed her gaze at us. It was a compliment, actually. I wish I can be as bold, Paula commented. What's wrong? Trouble in paradise? Kat inquired, referring to Paula's mate bond with Gage. She knew about the bond. Teach me how to be shameless. Sexily shameless, please. Paula pleaded dramatically. I groaned inwardly, then rolled my eyes as I laid back to watch Kat lecture Paula on many ways to make her mate, unable to resist her. I felt sorry for Jace Blackwood and Gage Forrest.